Welcome back to Honey, We're Not Okay with your two fave chaotic Black queers. I'm Valerie.
And I'm Meccah.
And in case you were wondering,
we're still not okay.
Oh no. That's so funny. Okay.
Keeping all of us in.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah. Like, okay.
They know we're crazy.
Seriously,
y'all are acquainted with the mess.
Clearly like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
So today we're going to be talking about poly relationships and monogamous relationships. I was going to say versus, but I don't want to create that kind of narrative. We're not against each other. You know, it's all preference.
Man,
with that being said, how do polyamorous relationships differ from monogamous relationships?
Yeah, so I am no expert, very much still learning myself, but the core difference is monogamy is the idea that you're committing to basically just one person. And there's like a very clear relationship escalator, as you will hear when you go to research this and as I will link. And polyamory is poly, so multiple. So you can have multiple lovers, multiple sexual partners. It's just the idea that you are not necessarily committing and or bound to one person like you are in a monogamous relationship. So those are kind of the differences, I'd say.
Okay, awesome. That was a great explanation.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll ask you, do you think most people are built for monogamy?
Ooh. I think it's a controversial topic, right? I think by the way the society is set up, everything is tied to one person. In this society, one man, one woman. You have your kids, you have your white picket fence, and that's like the American dream. So we are so deeply socialized to do monogamy. But do I personally think that we are just inherently, if nothing else existed, that we'd all be monogamous? Not necessarily. I think it would be a mixture, right? I don't think it would be purely just everybody's poly, but I do think open relationships and ethically non-monogamous relationships will be way more popular because people struggle with monogamy even under all the socialization.
Yeah.
The divorce rate is 50%, if not higher now. We have cheating scandals, all these other things where I don't think people are doing that great with monogamy. So there is definitely room to question if it's really natural. But that's above my pay grade. I think we just need to allow the fact that like openness is some people's natural state and maybe it's not others. And that's okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was telling you earlier that I was listening to this podcast. I wish I knew the names so I could give them credit, to be honest, but it was two men. If I remember, maybe I'll post it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But one of the guys, he said that, how do you think you can be in a poly relationship when you can't even have a healthy monogamous relationship? And that's the reality of it. It's not really about whether you're monogamous or poly. It's about, can you be healthy? Can you treat your partner or partners with respect? You know, are you treating yourself with respect? That's really what it's about. So, yeah.
Yeah. I want to throw a question back at you then. Do you think there's one that is more maybe inherently natural than the other?
Okay. So I don't know if I'm being very honest, because I do feel like it's person to person. You know, it's personal preference. I think it has to do with what you grew up around and what, I guess, just makes you feel like you're fully yourself. And we're all going to have a different response for that. You know, I do feel like monogamy is safe. It's definitely safe. So if you're craving safety, you know, and some form of stability, because I do think it provides more of that, then monogamy is what, you know, you should do.
Yeah.
But I think it's just really conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I was never really able to be conditioned. Not saying like, not saying it's like, I feel like that makes it sound like I'm saying brainwash, but how do I
say it's the grain?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like because I was raised around monogamy, I naturally didn't want it.
Rebellious one.
Yeah. And okay, you might have to cut this out because I'm getting lost. Or you don't have to cut it out. I'm getting lost.
She's finding it.
It's kind of late, guys. But Oh, okay. So I did fall into conditioning at first. Up until recently, I felt like monogamy was probably the easiest thing. Well, it is, but
Yeah.
was the easiest thing, and it was what people were meant to do. Now, I did subscribe to it, but also I always knew that I was interested in being in an open relationship. Like I would study Shannon Boodram's videos all the time, and she talked about being poly and being open, and I knew that was interesting for me. But I was too afraid to go for it because of the stigma around it.
Oof, that word.
Right? Literally. And, now I do subscribe as open, but I still don't know exactly what that means to me, and we can get into that a little later.
Yeah, and that's okay too. The big question mark of it all is fun,
Right? But for you, do you feel like you dealt with the stigma of being poly? Well, you haven't even really said it on this episodes that you are, but if you watched the last episodes, you know that she is.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm asking, have you dealt with that?
Yeah. I love that question. I have definitely faced stigma. I do want to rewind it back just in case people aren't familiar with my story with polyamory. But as a kid, I always, always, always loved love triangles. And I could not. The lore, you guys.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
As a lot of people I care about now, I've always loved a love triangle and gravitated towards that. And I don't know if it's a chicken versus the egg. I don't know if it's because I found all this media about love triangles that I suddenly had this wow, this is so cool, or if it was inherently in me and I just found it because it was in me, right? But I used to love Twilight. I was like, oh my God, Bella, girl, you got something figured out.
The best of both worlds.
The best of both worlds. And
Okay.
I could understand both. I was like, okay, Jacob's bringing this and Edward's bringing that. How could you choose?
Right?
So it was little things like that. And then growing up Muslim and just having that concept polygamy introduced, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try monogamy. And I did. and I did. But eventually I was like, I want to see what this little tiny thread has been that's always been in my life, but I've never tapped into. So obviously, as y'all have heard in other episodes, I eventually started dating and eventually met someone that was already open. And that relationship is where I thought I would experience the most stigma because not only are we both women, but we're also open. And that was a lot. And I think where it came from the most, any kind of backlash was more so my family and being like, oh, why are you guys in a relationship then? If what's the point? Just to be single. And then also kind of more so internalized stigma, right? Of being like, how are people going to perceive this if they see my partner out with their partner? Are they going to think something about me because my partner is not loyal or is not committed to just me? And so more than people coming up to me, really, it was more so me having to unpack, am I comfortable walking around poly? And I don't even really ID that way now to this day that often, because I'm still unpacking that. I'm still dealing with the internal stigma because it's oh, people think you're either you can't handle commitment, which I was a serial monogamous, so I can. I overcommit. That's the problem. But it's there's all these stigmas and all these ideas and all this negativity around poly people, and the worst one that they're all ugly. And I just couldn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's
Is that a thing?
It's a thing. Yeah, they're kind of if you don't fit in this box, or people that are poly, it's because they can't be monogamous. It's you have to have. I've seen it
Which is crazy. I'm if anything, I would be they have the most game. They're fine shit because they can literally catch them all.
Yeah,
doesn't mean that either. But that's something I would believe more than no one wants to be with them or commit to them.
Yeah, no, it's sick. It was literally I think a thread or a tweet that I saw, and it was just some people are poly because they can only pull 3 5s, in attractiveness versus pulling 1 10.
That's insane. Oh my gosh.
And so just little things like that where you sit and you're okay, this is not I don't agree with any of those things, but that's what the people that had 20,000 retweets. So you're seeing that as someone that's open or dabbles in that, and it's oh God, like, what do y'all think of me?
Yeah, like, he's like, Jesus, I can't even say this out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think a lot of the stigma for me was more internal, and then maybe like family that were just like, what are you doing, girl? Like, what is this? So
no, I would agree. I feel like even now the stigma for me is the fact that, yeah, my family wouldn't agree. They would probably feel like, I'm doing myself a disservice or I have a lack of discipline or something like that. And then, yeah, I feel like strangers think that I'm either too hypersexual.
Yeah.
Like, it's just about the fact that I need to sleep with everyone, which I don't. I don't
Insane.
even really want to be touched by everyone.
Yeah.
You guys probably don't know that because I'm a flirt, but like literally, don't touch me. But yeah, so that's actually the biggest one for me is dealing with strangers thinking that I will want to sleep with them and everyone and their mama just because I identify as poly.
Yeah.
So I steer away from that, but I'll say open because it sounds nicer. People are a little more, I don't know, calm when you say that to them.
Yeah, they are.
It's kind
so
of like,
funny.
oh, you're open? Okay. You can commit to one partner and then sometimes you do a little something on the side. So that's okay.
Yeah.
If you say, Polly, you need 20 girlfriends? Damn, you're greedy. Just like being bi.
Yeah.
You're greedy.
Goes back.
But yeah, it's definitely a stigma I'm trying to work on getting past, especially since you and another person recently told me open was poly and mind blown,
Yeah, the Venn diagram is huge. There's a third one, which I actually identify with, which is ambiamorous. My therapist introduced me to that term because she was just like analyzing me, and this was in the in-between relationship. So I was with the partner that was poly, and then I was meeting someone that was mono. And she was like, okay, girl, like, I'm not gonna lie, to me it sounds like you're ambiamorous. And I was like, what is that? Like, I don't understand. But she was like, no, it's someone that can basically, they're comfortable in either polyamory or monogamy. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's me. Because if God forbid that particular relationship ended, I could be in a monogamous relationship. It would be like a lot of emotional labor to teach and bring that person up to speed, but I could do it. And vice versa, where I could be in a poly relationship and be like, cool. So I think I land more there, and that's another term, and I'll like link it or whatever in the show notes. But an interesting term to sit on as well.
Okay. I like that you broke that down because I feel like I could be that. But also, if I were to be monogamous again, I would be monogamish like I was.
Yeah.
Like we had, what's it called? We had moments or chapters of just being monogamous, but then we would go back to being monogamish. And I really enjoyed that. So I think I could balance between being open and monogamish, the subcategories of each. Getting used to it. Okay. Ali.
Look at that. She said it, guys. She got it. She's saying it.
So, we kind of touched on everything just naturally.
Yeah.
Let me ask, you said you are ambiamorous.
I check myself real quick, y'all.
Wait, ambiamorous? No,
ambiamorous.
I was like, ambivert? Like, I don't know.
It's kind of like that. Exactly. Like that ambivert, but for sexuality.
But yeah, so you can balance both. Do you ever feel like you would just go by one or change your relationship style as a whole?
Well, I would say I'm one of those people that there's some people that really look at polyamory or even monogamy as if their sexuality damn near. Like they internalize it so deeply that it feels like an identity. For me, it is literally just a style. So I'll pick it up and put it down and pick it up and put it down. So I don't think I would ever permanently drop one unless I had some type of religious psychosis again.
Psychosis?
No shade.
It's going to take a psychosis. Okay.
Because like to count it out kind of negates that like flexibility that I have with the label that I like the most, which is the ambiamorous, because I want to be able to say, hey, partner, you know what? What if we open this thing up? And if I shut one down, that would not work because I draw somebody that also was just like, no, no.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think I'd like to stick to, like having the option to do both and keeping open mind about both, because there's a lot of progress with the monogamy stuff. And there's a whole like influencer lady that's talking about like unlearning toxic monogamy, and she's getting people together. So I don't think I'd ever have to shut one down. But what about you?
Yeah, for me, I don't think I would either. And I always went about it by saying, like, I like a partner to have an open mindset.
Yeah.
And what I meant is that I want them to be down for a threesome or something, eventually.
Yeah.
So I think that's just ingrained in who I am, just to switch, be open-minded, shut it down if I don't want to do it, open it up if I do.
Yeah.
And I would love to, like you said, have a partner where you can just go on a roller coaster with them, and they're not like strictly monogamous or strictly poly.
Yeah,
1,000%. Yeah, I don't think you can do the same thing in every chapter of your life.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I want to ask, how did people react when you were, I guess, monogamish in your previous relationship? Like, did they look at y'all and be like, like, what was usually the perception of reaction?
So no, I don't think we really advertised it, but most of the people we were friends with were people in the rave community, and that's where we like opened it up, was at raves.
Yeah.
So at raves, they don't really care. Everyone's kissing everyone for the most part, like with respect. Yeah. It's all about like consent. So we just got like, hey, can you kiss us? Yeah. I think everyone was just excited, like, oh my gosh, I get to kiss both of you. Like, that's literally how they reacted. Outside of that, I don't really know if people had an opinion, because we weren't kissing them. Yeah. We weren't kissing people really at clubs, except for like those few times. But, yeah. And then I don't think anyone in my family really knew. Maybe my sister, and she was just like, okay. Yeah. No, who cares? Yeah, you do you. She's like, I've lived life. It's your turn. So, yeah. I never had to really expose myself and get that opinion. Yeah. And I think that's also where the fear comes, because, I have a Black family. Yeah. And that's all I really need to say, to be honest. If you get it, you get it. Like,
that's the sentence.
But I will say, when I was in Vegas with my mom recently for her birthday, there's this whole thing where, like, what happened to Megan stays in Vegas? Valerie, you're about to be 29. Oh, we're so grown. And my sister, she was like, okay, we both have to tell mom something that we wouldn't usually tell her. And I was like, I hate you. But then I told her, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in an open relationship. Yeah. And she was like, oh, okay.
Come on.
So, I definitely give credit to my mom for being very open-minded. Yeah, especially with a religious background. And she's still Christian, but her love for us is stronger than all of that. So appreciate you, Mom.
A real one.
Mom.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
But to completely switch it up, how do you feel about people who get into poly relationships just because they want to have access to multiple people, especially sexually?
I think I've been moving into the era where it's like, do what you want to do, but be honest. Like, I think, we need to get to a point where we don't demonize sexually free people or people that want to have a lot of sex. That's fine. Do that, have that. But I think some people absolutely get into poly relationships to manipulate multiple people and to lie to multiple people and to not have to be accountable for their actions. And that I cannot agree with, because to me, that's why I like the term ethical non-monogamy, because you are supposed to be treating people with respect and being honest and being communicative. And so I feel like people that enter those dynamics and are just not safe, they're not communicating, they're not doing any emotional work. You can have all the sex you want, but these are still people. We're not objects. So I think it's wrong if that is your approach and you don't have any will to do better or any will to communicate or any will to research and change and recognize your actions. And the same way that I would feel if you did that in a monogamous relationship and you were serially cheating on people, right?
Yeah.
So I can't get behind that. And I think it puts a horrible, horrible shadow on the idea of polyamory for people. And it's part of why some of those stereotypes even exist.
No, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now, I do kind of want to go back to, you said, like, we're not shaming people who want to have sex with multiple people. But with polyamorous relationships, don't they have to go in wanting a relationship? Can it just be about sex when, like...
Maybe. And this is where the umbrella starts to get umbrella-y. Because you can have really, and I don't know if poly is the top of the umbrella or just non-monogamy is. And I think it's non-monogamy, right? So you can be non-monogamous and not be looking for romantic relationships, because you can have every other identity under the term non-monogamy. So you can be like, I'm just looking for friends with benefits. I'm just looking for this. I'm looking for, casual partners. There's so many terms within non-monogamy that would take probably a whole nother episode. But I think you can absolutely identify as maybe E&M without looking for a romance, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on how you kind of choose your title. And that's why I would say more E&M. If I would identify, it would be E&M, because polyamorous is when you start getting into love.
Yeah, that's
okay. But even love does not have to exist in the context of a structured relationship. So it gets really in the woods if you let it, because you don't technically have to be in a relationship to experience any of those things. So you can just do that.
That's true. That's true. See, this is where, like, I think okay boomer in my head.
Yeah.
Because, like, I agree with all of that, but all of the categories and subcategories start to make me go, like, girl, I don't know. Like, but I like that you said that you choose to go by E&M, ethical non-monogamy or non-monogamous instead of necessarily poly, because I feel like I would do that as well. And that's aside from the stigma that's out there that I'm running from. It's just because, when I think of polyamory, I think of relationships. Yeah. And I don't want more than one girlfriend, possibly boyfriend. I whisper that because the chances are so low. I don't even know if you could hear this. But I wouldn't want more than one girlfriend, because I realized that I don't have the emotional capacity for one. Yeah. But I do want to be able to, have little moments, explore, possibly have sex with another person or other people. Yeah. So that would be more E&M?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say for sure. Yeah. Because non-monogamous, but not necessarily like multiple lovers in the same way, like multiple commitments, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like you saw.
Yeah, no judgment, I would say, for me.
Yeah. And that's why I think I mentioned earlier too, like me liking the fluidness for my labels, because I'm like, right now, E&M, because I'm dating, I'm single, like, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to give. But I've had eras where I've been actually poly. Like, I've had 2 girlfriends or 2 partners, and I was committed to both. And that's hard. That is so hard. I would do it again if I was rich. And
valid. That's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna let you continue. Yeah, no, I feel like polyamory is easier if you guys have money, because it's an investment, not only emotionally but financially. So if you have that money, then you go ahead.
You got it. Because it's like, I do think there's such a beauty to polyamory specifically, especially in the society we're in, right? Like, it's like, I'm paying, $1,500 for rent? In some polyamorous structures, it's like you have multiple partners, everybody's contributing to bills, everybody is like, if it's a family, there's people watching the kids, like, it's communal. There's an idea of like, everyone's looking out for each other, and therefore everybody's lives are actually supposed to be easier. But that would be very particular structures that I haven't experienced yet, which is why I can't say like, oh, I'm polyamorous right now, because I know with my current life situation, it would be very, like, emotionally taxing, and I don't have that bandwidth right now. So I'm with you on being like, I think E&M feels better for me right now.
Literally. But I kind of want to go back to when you said you did have 2 girlfriends. Why was that so difficult? Exactly. Like, if you can touch a little more on the details.
Yeah, I did it twice back when I was dating Taurus. And With the first one, it was difficult with them because I realized, like, at the time, my emotions were laser focused on my primary partner. And I felt guilty about not prioritizing my secondary partner in the same way. And so I was like, okay, like, this isn't right. Like, I feel like this person's doing more for me than I'm doing for them. And like, if my primary were to call me, I would be heading there to drop a hat versus, it just wasn't fair. It just did not feel anything close to ethical with how I was feeling emotionally. So I was trying my best to show up. And also, I hadn't done enough research. And it was a quip that I kind of had with my primary partner at the time because I was like, you've always been open, and I'm having to like learn all these things in real time. And I thought I'd kind of lean on, like, have someone to kind of learn from.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have that with her. So I'm taking on these people, and it's like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And so I don't feel like I was handling people in the best way that I could have. So that's why it was difficult. And then, the financial part, birthdays, holidays, it's a lot.
Oh. And then also having family.
Family, yeah. And I think I was just learning so many things at once with my first, like, multiple relationship situation. So I was learning, like, more about gender identity and just a lot of things all at the same time, while also going through my own personal things. So I just don't think I showed up in the best way that I could, and it made it way more taxing versus, like, and I wasn't the best communicator then either. So it was just all that, like, lovely relationship actually, but like how I felt internally was just way too stressed out for what I wanted in that time period of my life. So that was the first one. The next one was a lot easier. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot easier. I don't know if it was a person. I don't know, but it was easier. It was more so me dealing with the struggles of dating someone that was not necessarily open. So it wasn't actually the relationship that was taxing. It was like, are you actually okay with this? Like, is this really what you want to do? And that made that one difficult because everything else was there. Chemistry, me balancing my time. Like, I was very, very communicative because I had learned from the other situation what not to do. So I had applied all those lessons to the next person. But in the end, they were not actually ready to be open, I don't think. And they lied about that. But that's what I learned. Like, it was like, okay, oh wait, actually the reality of having to share me, quote unquote, set in towards the end. And I think that got to be too much for them. Being like, oh yeah, like, this,
I don't like this.
This is actually a bit too much. I didn't know how to communicate that. They just wanted someone from themselves. They just wanted to be locked in with one person. And I respect that. So that's kind of what made that one difficult.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like that happens a lot where someone wants to be open, wants to be poly because they don't really see it for what it is.
Yeah.
They see like the fun parts about it.
Yeah.
You get to flirt and explore other people. But what about how you feel when your partner is out on a date or kissing or having sex with someone else? They don't think about that.
No.
And then it gets to a situation where it's just like, this is too much, and then they feel like they're not being prioritized in the way that they want, that they're not getting the attention, the love that they need. And I was going to say I wish people would stop doing that, but no.
Yeah.
I think people have to explore it and see if it's right for them or not. And if it's not, then you never do it again.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, yeah. On that, have you ever been in a situation? I know you're kind of more so newly exploring openness, but have you even thought about, like, how am I going to feel in the future if X, Y, and Z happens? And what does that look like and felt like for you?
So I definitely thought about how I would feel if someone I was like invested in or who was my main person, or what did you call them?
Yeah, primary partner.
Partner were to go on a date or like have sex with someone else or have even some feelings for other people.
Yeah.
And I know that it would be a little difficult for me. I would definitely have to process and move through those emotions so I don't have a bad reaction. And so the relationship can stay healthy. But I do think the big thing for me is permission. So I feel like, I know that if someone asks me permission to explore, I feel like I'm in control of the situation.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I'm being respected. So with that, I definitely think I could handle it. But without that, I think it'll just be like, It's over.
Yeah.
We're done. How dare you explore in our open relationship, okay? But yeah, I just think it's because every relationship they're going to have their own rules.
Yeah.
Even polyamory, monogamy.
Yeah.
And for me, that is a rule. Ask permission, then I will tell you if you can do it. Most likely you can, but like it should be open for discussion and then same. Like I definitely think that I naturally will ask permission because I've done it even with being monogamous. I asked. Okay, I'm kidding. No, but I would ask, like, hey, can I kiss this person and see if they're cool with it?
Yeah.
You know? And then I'll go do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But that's just something natural to me because I over communicate. And I think I would need a partner in that relationship to over communicate as well. Yeah.
I like that.
So that I don't spiral.
Ooh, juicy. Okay. So something I learned was pretty controversial in my first experience with open relationships was about vetoing. And it's this idea of, say, for example, my partner wants to go on a date and I'm feeling like hella jealous for some reason about this. And I tell her, no, you can't.
No.
That is controversial as hell in the poly community.
It
is. Yeah. So I was like, oh, it's interesting you say that. And again, not that, again, like you said, every relationship has their own rules. But in the E&M like world, at least when I was back like really heavily doing it, it was just kind of like, set your boundaries with your partner, have that conversation about like, this is what we're going to do. But like, just because it's almost controlling for jealousy purposes. Like, oh, you're going to stop this person. You guys have already talked about, okay, you're going to do this. You can go have, the person, all the terms and conditions. But because you're in a moment of like upheaval or whatever, you're like, Yeah, and that's really frowned upon. So how do you feel about that? Like, is it kind of like, is it something you would a rule you want for yourself regardless, or something you think you'd be like, okay, let me try, let me see, let me loosen my grip, let me loosen control, or you're like, absolutely not. The only way I'm doing this is if I can say yes, I can say no.
Yeah, I would have to see.
Yeah.
But I do think that I am like very much a like permission thing.
Yeah.
Permission person. I just like, I don't know if it's like a dominance thing. I'm not really quite sure what it is. Or like, I know that I'll need that to regulate.
Yeah.
But it can change in the future. But I'm just saying right now,
that's where you're at.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I also know that most likely I'm not going to say no.
Right.
I just want to feel like you care enough about my opinion to ask me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really it. I do get how it can be controversial. Like, we're open. Like, you're supposed to let them explore. But for me, it's just like a form of communication that I need. You know, ask me if you want to go out with Anna. And I'm just like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. It's nice that you asked me.
Make some food.
Yeah, literally.
Oh,
that's the thing. That's how it really would be. It's like
tangent. Real quick.
Okay. Let's hear it.
This is the number one. If I ever had to tell you on polyamory, this is it. When your partner comes back from a date and they bring some fire ass food and you get to eat it. Like, I love the shared, like, oh yeah, I didn't finish this, or I got this thing on my date. And I get to enjoy the fruits of somebody else's date. Like, I love that. I love that. End of my tangent. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, actually, you have to have the conversation. You have to do all the work or whatever. And I got food out of it. Yeah. See, I do really like that. And even more, what if your partner is talking to someone that can get you guys tickets or get you in somewhere or whatever? I'm just like, oh man,
again,
I love your other person or the person you're talking to. Like, they're amazing.
Amen.
That means then I just thought, have you ever considered merging like all of your partners, like your two partners? Or do you prefer having partners that like don't have anything to do with each other?
Oh, that's so funny. So how it actually kind of naturally ended up happening anyway for me was merging. Like, not deeply, but I would be the one to more so be like, hey, for example, we're going to go to this day party. I'm going to invite partner one and everybody's going to come to my place. And so I actually had like a moment where both my partners, like my first additional partner and my primary partner, like went out with me together. And 3 days.
I didn't realize that. What?
Yeah. Wait. That's a big one too. The place
your first relationship?
Not my first, no. But my first open relationship, Taurus.
So Taurus with the first partner?
Yeah, with the first non-binary
okay.
partner. Yeah, so they actually pre-gamed. We all pre-gamed. It was my first time ever having like both of them in the space, and it was crazy. I was in the bathroom just like, what am I doing?
Oh no! Oh my god!
It's kind of like, we're talking about stigma. We're talking about this, that, and the third, and I have other friends in the apartment, and they're looking like, oh, and there's Meccah with the 2 partners.
Oh my god!
It was really bold of me, but I did a lot of stuff like that. So like we would go out, and even at the party, it was kind of like we had a rule where it was just like, if I'm on a date with partner A or B, it's about me and that partner. So even though we all pregame together, I ended up dancing with my secondary partner like most of the night, and that was where my attention was focused because I was like, this is our date, so we're together. Obviously, I'm gonna interact with my girlfriend, but like it's not about her right now. Yeah, so that was one way I did it. Another thing that came up with my other relationship was basically one of my partners is very much involved like in the entertainment world. And so I would invite, like I asked and I was like, hey, can I invite like this new person I'm seeing? And so she came and loved my partner. Like literally was just like, she's so cool. Like, so it really happened naturally where I would just invite people and be like, hey, by the way, it's going to be one big happy family.
Yeah. Okay.
But it never really got, like, we kind of tried to avoid too much PDA and like stuff like that. So I don't really think I fully merged it, but I learned through that relationship that I would prefer things to be more connected than to be too separated.
Okay. So what if you're, let's say the first merge or meet up with a non-binary partner?
Yeah.
What if the non-binary partner like Taurus? I wanted to like connect with them.
Ooh. Huh. How did I feel at the time? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. My first E&M relationship, I was a crash out, guys. I was like, God bless my ex truly, because she had to see me. I'm who I am today because I learned so many things through that relationship and like managing my own like possessiveness, really. So, but in that case, in that scenario, I would want to know that. And I think I would want to have been like involved in that.
Okay.
Yeah, like I wouldn't want that to be happening outside of me, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of feel that way, to be honest. It's like, I'm like, what?
I was like, that's my, we all both connected through me.
You're mine.
Yeah, but what? But I prefer everybody to be just friends and cool, but like, if y'all gonna do all that, I'm right here. Like, we like enjoy, like join me in. Come on.
Like, hey. Yeah. Come on. Hello. Yeah, I get that. Do you feel that way now?
It's really so dependent on the people, I fear. So I don't have any like good examples, but I'd say, I guess the second person is a good example. It's funny because she actually approached me at Pride and was just like, feeling me, whatever, but also feeling my partner. I was just like, oh, they're fine. Like
that tracks, yeah.
And so I think she was like doing my locks or something one night, and I was just like, huh, like you wanted both of us, like technically. And I was into that.
Man, missed opportunity.
So it's really dependent on like how secure I think I feel with both people, low key. And with that second person, I felt really like into them, and I was just like, whatever. Like you want to do that, we can do that, we can do that. Like I don't care, whatever.
Really?
My primary would have never gone for that. And this is me speaking. In my ideal world, like I definitely think we could have merged a little deeper with that one. But me and my ex had way different tastes, way different ideas of polyamory, so it would have never ever worked out that way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. I couldn't actually never
ever.
Yeah, at all. Let's see. I want to say something else. Oh, so you're saying it was based on how the security you felt with each partner. Now, in your opinion, what does a poly relationship look like when you don't feel secure with your partner or partners?
Oof, chaotic. It's a lot of emotions, I would say, more so than monogamy, because you have to think about the fact that, say, for example, you're dealing with the weight of stigma on top of like dealing with, for example, like I think when I started, it was like overcoming. I don't know if jealousy is the right word, but unlearning like my like, oh, why do you need this person? I'm right here. Like,
Yeah.
why are you getting this over there? I'm here. And that took so long for me to overcome. So in the beginning, I remember having like, my partner crying and like, or me just crashing out and being like, oh my God, like just a lot of temperature checking and a lot of being like, I don't feel good about this thing. And it might be small to you because you've been open for a while, but for me, this is like heavy and I need to like sit with that. So in the beginning, for me, when you don't have the security, it can be really like emotionally just up and down and up and down. Sometimes you'll deal with something called compersion, and it's where you get excited and or turned on at your partner doing something with someone else.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because when you're first in polyamory, like sometimes you'll feel that. You'll be like, oh my God, like what'd you guys do? Like tell me all about it. And you'll get joy from your partner, like exploring these other connections. And then other times, at least what it looked like for me was just being like, I don't feel stable. My nervous system does not feel safe right now. Why is that? And like unpacking all of that. So I remember one time I like was so upset about something that happened because it just felt like an invasion of my boundaries, and it was just too, like a little too on the line for me. So I remember, I think Billie Eilish's album had just came out, and I literally, it was like 3 a.m. and I like got out of the room. I left my apartment, left my partner in the bed. I like drove to the South Mountain, and just like,
Iconic.
blasted that album. And I was like crying on the mountain. I was just like, oh God. Like, so that's what it can look like. Like, stuff like that is how it can come across when you're not in a secure place, which can obviously happen too with monogamy. But
Dang. Oh my God.
Yeah, we've granted a lot, guys. Yeah, because it was bad.
Yeah, I have a lot of those moments in my monogamous relationship. So, like you said, it could just happen.
It's all about security.
It really is. And yeah, I would hope that our next partners, no matter monogamous, polyamorous, give us security and we can give them some security back, and, we won't be crashing out on South Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I wrap it up, I do want to talk about how there are some relationships that one partner is poly and one is monogamous.
Yeah.
And I just heard this interview with Alan Stoner because I think she's currently poly, or she was, but she was with a man who was poly and she was first exploring it with him. And then she decided that she could only focus on him. She only had the emotional capacity for one partner.
Yeah.
But for him, he had the emotional capacity for multiple. And she said, like, she got enough attention. Like, she felt completely seen and secure with him. And he was out here, like, exploring other people. So how do you feel about that type of relationship? Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I was just going to say, I naturally feel like that relationship is scary. And I have to check myself on that because, everyone's going to hopefully do what's right for them. But in my head, when I think of that kind of relationship, I think of the man who has multiple different girlfriends and wives and is, mistreating someone, or it's like, you can't see anyone. You can only focus on me while they're out being able to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I know that's not necessarily true for these kind of relationships, but it's naturally what I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God. No, that's such a good call out. And I'm happy that it sounds like for her, that wasn't the case with him. Like, it wasn't toxic. Yeah. But I think, and my therapist used to back this up, mono-poly relationships do have a particular, challenge to them, because if, again, people are not secure or they're in a moment of insecurity with themselves, really, it can make the relationship very unstable. Because say I'm the mono partner and my partner has another, maybe 2 other partners. And it's like my birthday week or something. And I'm just like in my little feels, because that's how I get. And into my birthday week, I'm in it. Existential crisis. But I'm down in the dumps. I'm whatever. And all I want is my person. Like, because I feel like that's how so many monogamous people think. It's like my person, my person, my person. And so I'm trying to emotionally regulate through my partner, which is already... I don't recommend doing that, but that's what people do, right? So I think the tricky thing about monopoly relationships is that I think people sometimes, it's on the monogamous person sometimes, they tend to like, you blame the polyamory for their own instability or their own like emotional turmoil versus being like, no, I am just in a place where I need extra or more from this person. And instead of like sitting with that for themselves, it's kind of like, no, it's because you're on a date with Jessica and you haven't been.
Not Jessica.
And I thought you would be home to take care of me because I'm sad. And it's just like, we have to get to a point where we can emotionally regulate ourselves. That's not to say you can't need something from someone, but you need to be able to be like, oh, girl, go make some cookies and I don't know, like do something with yourself to calm down.
Yeah.
But also the polyamorous person, I think, can have a power over the monogamous person in these dynamics too if they're not careful, because it is this idea that you have more freedom. And what the monogamous person doesn't know, they don't know. So you walk a thin line of being like scandalous or maybe not loyal or something if you're the polyamorous person and you're not communicating truly and honestly with the monogamous partner, because they're going to need more reassurance and validation than if you were poly on poly. So it's like you have to do all that extra labor, and you have to be ready to do that extra labor if you want to take that challenge, because it's going to be a challenge. And I'm trying to stay away from it, but I keep ending up in.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. I was like, would you do it? But technically you did.
Yeah. I've done it. I did it. And the one that I did it where it was really a relationship, like with my ex that I mentioned earlier, that one hurt. Like that hurt. And I don't think I'll put myself in that situation again where it wasn't very clear. Like, I need to know, are you comfortable with openness? Like in all the ways that it might look. Yay or nay, because I don't want to get emotionally attached to somebody and then suddenly they're like, oh, like, actually, I don't like that. Which, okay, fine, but tell me up front. And I just don't want to be like, feel like deceived or feel like I wasted my time or I was led on or anything like that. So I would prefer people that have either been open, are open, or are in a friend group or community where they are other open people, because I don't want to have to be the teacher. I do not want to do that.
Definitely not. That's a lot to take on.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you were a crash out when you were first learning.
Yeah.
So that's you taking on the fact that this partner might crash out on you until they eventually, if they eventually get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like how people say they don't want to be someone's first like same-sex sexual experience, right? Like, you don't want to be the one to be like, here's how you do this. I
said that. I'm one of those people.
It's the same thing, because it's justifiably a very hard journey. It's a very different, it's anything that goes against the social norm is like very hard to do. So I know for me, not right now. Once again, I'm not rich. I'm not mentally stable enough. I can't carry that weight for somebody else right now. I can't do that. I would love to, maybe in the future when I have all these other things, but right now it's not worth it when there's already people that are like in the community.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like, right now, the main person I'm talking to is monogamous or is coming from a monogamous background and is interested in open relationships. So technically right now, we're just both learning.
Period.
So that's something I can be okay with, you know, like I know a little bit more than her, so I can share a little, but in reality, we're on this journey together, girl, because I don't know what I'm doing. No, I'm just kidding. I know a little bit what I'm doing, but yeah, that's something I would prefer because I think that someone who's like really poly might be a little too ahead for me.
Yeah.
You know, and unless they are patient and willing to teach me, I would probably turn into a crash out.
Yeah.
You know, like, It's like, why aren't you sitting down and explaining this to me? Why aren't you extra reassuring me? Because that's going to be a necessity until I get used to this dynamic, Like, you need to be able to do that. And I don't know how many people can. So I'd rather just learn with someone,
I love that. Yeah, being kind of on the same playing field is huge. And I like that you brought up like reassurance, because I think that is something very important. And again, no shade to my previous partners. But that was something I think when I was crashing out was all I was asking for was like, I need more reassurance. I need you to hold me this way. Yeah. And I don't think at the time, and maybe the dynamic and other things, like she was capable of doing that. And I think that is a huge thing when you're dealing with an open relationship, is to be able to actually provide reassurance in the way your partner needs. Yeah. So I love that you said that word, because I was like, yes, that's it.
That's what I need.
It's not just communication. It is also reassurance. It is also being like, oh my gosh, she's acting batshit crazy. But because I know this is a new thing for her, I have the time to be like, okay, no, baby, it's okay. Like, you have to have that too, not just being able to say the thing, but also being like a container for that person and just be like, oh my God, like I'm dealing with all this jealousy, like help me, and help them like take that second. Like, reassure your partner. Yeah. So yeah, I love that you said that.
Well, with that being said, explore, guys. You don't have to be monogamous. You don't have to be polyamorous. You don't have to be
Yum, yum, yum.
It's okay, they get it.
Yeah.
You just have to let yourself explore. And the thing about relationships is that there's always a chance you're going to get hurt.
Yep.
That's what love is. Love is, what is it? Love and hate are
like the same energy.
Yeah, different sides of the same
coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're fine.
One of those. If you know it, just put in the comments. But, it comes with some hurt and some pain. So it's not really about the relationship style that you choose. It's about the way you go through that relationship. So if you're a poly hater, check yourself.
Literally.
Check yourself.
Okay? We all deserve to love and be loved. And however you want to do that, however you need to express that, do that. But it's all about the life you want for yourself, really. And, exploring a lifestyle that aligns with that. So if you know you're going to be out traveling and you're like, hey, if I got a little boo in London, a little boo in Paris, like, have that. But just be honest and communicate and love freely. That's all it's about.
Yes, love freely. And I want to say it real quick. My dream the last few years has always been to have that like wife or husband. And then this sounds crazy, but when they go to travel or whatever, and obviously everyone's aware of everything, calling over my little, my little yeah. And I'd be like, okay, so what are we doing? Literally, I can imagine that for myself. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys so you guys could also manifest it for me.
Putting it out there.
Yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for checking in on us. If you guys are exploring a poly relationship and you have questions, definitely direct it to Meccah, because she knows a lot. Like she says, she may not know everything, but she does know a lot, and she knows where to research. So send her a message, send HWNO a message, and we'll definitely help you with any questions you may have.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll answer to the best of our ability. And drop a comment. Make sure to rate the podcast if you enjoyed this episode today, and follow us everywhere that you listen, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We really, really appreciate your support. Yeah. And be sure to check on us again next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.